He called me bad luck and left me for a rich woman. Now I own the empire he's begging to join. The night he called me a curse. The night we lost everything, my husband didn't hold my hand. He let go. We were sitting in our small apartment in Dallas, Texas. The foreclosure notice lay on the kitchen counter like a death sentence. His startup had collapsed. Our savings were gone. The investors had vanished. I was still in my nursing scrubs from Baylor Medical Center, exhausted but hopeful. "We'll rebuild," I whispered. Marcus laughed. Not a soft laugh. Not a tired laugh. A cruel one. "Victoria, ever since I married you, it's been loss after loss. My business failed. My deals fall through. You're bad luck." Bad luck. I felt something inside me tear. Then he said the words that changed my life forever. "I deserve better. I deserve a woman who elevates me." 3 weeks later, he moved into a luxury condo in Miami with Cassandra Whitmore, a wealthy real estate investor 20 years older than him. And I was left alone in a one-bedroom rental in Houston, wondering how love turned into blame so quickly. But what Marcus didn't know, bad luck was about to become his greatest miscalculation. And I was about to become something he would never see coming. Rock bottom in Houston. Houston felt heavier than Dallas. Maybe because I was carrying humiliation. I picked up double shifts. ICU nights.
Weekends.
I worked until my feet blistered and my eyes burned. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Marcus' voice. "You're bad luck." The words haunted me. But something else happened too. Silence teaches you. In the hospital, I started noticing patterns. Families drowning in medical bills. Nurses burned out. Patients confused by insurance systems. Before I continue, please subscribe to my channel to see more interesting stories. Thank you. One night, after a 14-hour shift, I sat in my car and sketched an idea on the back of a discharge paper. A healthcare advocacy consulting firm, helping families negotiate medical bills and insurance claims. I didn't have money. I didn't have investors. But I had knowledge. And I had nothing left to lose. Meanwhile, Marcus was posting out pictures in Miami. New suits. Champagne glasses. Cassandra's arm draped over his shoulder. "Blessed," he captioned one photo. I stared at it.
Blessed?
Or sponsored. I didn't cry that night. I registered my LLC instead. Silas Healthcare Advocates. And that was the first move in a game he didn't even know we were playing. The first client. My first client came from desperation. A single mother named Elena whose son had leukemia. The hospital bill was $487,000. Insurance denied half of it. She was drowning. I worked for free. I negotiated, appealed, called insurance supervisors, reviewed coding errors. I learned every loophole. 3 months later, her bill dropped to $38,000. She cried in my arms. Then she posted about me online. That post went viral in local Houston community groups. Within weeks, I had 12 clients. Then 30. Then 70. I quit bedside nursing. I was terrified. Marcus texted me for the first time in months. "Hope you're doing okay."
No apology.
Just curiosity. I ignored him, but I checked his page. Cassandra had invested in luxury apartment developments in Atlanta and Phoenix. Marcus was listed as operations director. Operations director? He couldn't even operate loyalty. But I stayed quiet, because revenge is not loud. It's strategic. And I was just getting started. Miami cracks. A year later, Silas Healthcare Advocates expanded to Atlanta. Then Chicago. I hired former nurses, insurance experts, attorneys. We were saving families millions. Then something unexpected happened. A medical conference in Miami invited me to speak. Miami, his city. I stood backstage at the Fontainebleau Hotel, heart pounding. And then I saw him, Marcus, in a tailored navy suit. He froze when our eyes met. I had changed. Not just physically, though success had softened my exhaustion and sharpened my confidence. But internally, I no longer looked like a woman seeking approval. I look like a woman who built something from ashes. Victoria, he said slowly. Hello, Marcus. He glanced at my badge. Keynote speaker. His expression shifted. Confusion. Then calculation. That was the first crack. And I saw it. Cassandra's smile. After my speech, Cassandra approached me. Elegant. Controlled. Diamond bracelet glinting. You're impressive, she said. Marcus told me you used to be a nurse. Used to. I smiled. And now I own a multi-state firm. Marcus avoided eye contact. Cassandra studied me carefully. I admire women who rebuild, she said. It's rare. Something in her tone told me she was measuring me. Not as an enemy. As a variable. Later that night, Marcus texted me. Can we talk? I didn't realize you were doing this well. Doing this well. Not. I'm proud of you. Not. I was wrong. Just economics. I didn't reply. Because the real twist? Silas Healthcare Advocates had just secured a partnership negotiation with a major real estate development firm. Guess who one of the silent investors was? Whitmore Holdings. Cassandra's company. And neither of them knew yet that I now had leverage. The contract. 3 weeks after Miami, my legal team scheduled a negotiation call with Whitmore Holdings. Cassandra didn't attend. Marcus did. When his face appeared on the Zoom screen from their Miami office, he looked confident.
Composed.
In control. Until he realized I was leading the negotiation. We're proposing a healthcare infrastructure partnership within your Atlanta and Phoenix luxury developments, I said calmly. On-site advocacy offices for residents. It increases property value by 11 to 15%. Silence. Marcus cleared his throat. That's innovative. Innovative. The same man who once told me my ideas were too small to matter. As we discussed numbers, I noticed something else. Marcus wasn't calling the shots. He kept glancing off-screen, waiting for approval. Cassandra was listening, watching. When the call ended, Marcus texted me immediately. I didn't know you were negotiating with us. This is impressive. I finally replied. It's just business. He sent 3 dots. Deleted them. Then typed. We should catch up sometime. Catch up. Like we hadn't signed divorce papers in silence. Like he hadn't traded me for luxury. He thought this was reconnection. He didn't realize it was evaluation. And I was measuring his weakness carefully. Cassandra's doubt. 2 months later, Whitmore Holdings signed the partnership. Silas Healthcare Advocates would operate inside 3 of their high-end properties in Atlanta, Phoenix, and Denver. And then something unexpected happened. Cassandra requested a private meeting. In New York. At the plaza. She arrived alone.
No, Marcus.
She studied me over espresso. You've built something extraordinary, she said. From nothing. Not nothing, I corrected gently. From pressure. Her lips curved slightly. Marcus used to say you lacked ambition. I didn't react. She watched my stillness carefully. Then she leaned forward. Tell me honestly. Do you think he's capable of running expansion projects? There it was. Not jealousy.
Doubt.
I chose my words carefully. I think Marcus performs best when someone else builds the structure. Her eyes flickered. Confirmation. That night, I learned something critical. Cassandra was a strategist. She didn't love Marcus. She invested in him. And investors cut losses when performance declines. Marcus didn't leave me for love. He left for leverage. And leverage expires. The Miami Whisper. Rumors travel fast in wealthy circles. By the time our Denver project launched, whispers had begun. Whitmore Holdings was overleveraged. Some luxury developments in Phoenix were underperforming. Marcus was overseeing them.
Poorly.
A mutual acquaintance from Dallas called me one evening. Did you hear? Cassandra is restructuring leadership. She's not happy. I felt no joy. Only clarity. Marcus had always chased shine. But he had never learned endurance. Then came the call I didn't expect. From Marcus.
Victoria.
I need advice.
Advice.
The audacity, was almost poetic. I'm dealing with investor pressure, he continued. You've handled growth well. How do you stabilize expansion? He was asking me for business counsel. The woman he called bad luck. I gave him neutral advice. Nothing strategic. Nothing revealing. Just enough to keep him afloat. Because here's the truth. Revenge is not destruction. It's contrast. I didn't need to sabotage him. His own limitations were doing that. And Cassandra was watching closely. The fall from the balcony. It happened in Phoenix. One of Whitmore's luxury towers faced legal action over delayed amenities and financial discrepancies. Marcus had signed off on contractor reallocations without full oversight. Investors were furious. Cassandra moved swiftly. Internal audit, board review, emergency restructuring. And then, quietly, Marcus was removed as operations director.
No dramatic announcement.
Just erased from the website. I found out through industry news before he called me. When he did, his voice sounded different. Smaller. She's pushing me out, he said. Not. I made mistakes. Not. I should have listened. She's pushing me out. For the first time, I heard fear. Victoria, we built dreams together once.
No.
We built his dreams. I built stability. I hope you figured out. I replied calmly. He paused. I made a mistake leaving you. That was the first real crack in his pride. But it wasn't enough. Not yet. The offer. 6 months later, Silas Healthcare Advocates secured national media attention.
Forbes featured me.
From nurse to multi-state CEO. I almost laughed at the irony. Marcus saw it. Of course he did. He called again. I want to start over, he said bluntly. Cassandra and I are done. It wasn't real. Not real. As if I had been practice. I was under pressure when I left, he continued. I didn't mean what I said about you. But he did. People mean what they say when they feel powerful. I've learned, he said. I want to build with you again.
Build.
The same word he used when he dismantled us. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I asked one question. If I hadn't succeeded, would you be calling? Silence.
Long.
Heavy. That silence told me everything. And that's when I realized. The real payoff wasn't making him regret leaving. It was deciding whether he deserved access to the woman I became. And I already knew my answer. The invitation. 3 weeks after Marcus asked to start over, I received an invitation. Houston. Black-Tied Charity Gala. Healthcare Innovation Award nominee. Victoria Silas. Sponsored by Whitmore Holdings. Cassandra's name was still on the board. Interesting. I arrived in a silver silk gown that felt like armor. Cameras flashed. Reporters called my name. And then I saw him, Marcus. Not in a tailored navy suit this time. Just present. No title.
No introduction.
He approached cautiously. You look incredible, he said softly. I am, I replied. That's when I saw it, not desire. Regret. Deep, consuming regret. During the ceremony, Cassandra gave a speech about strategic resilience. When she mentioned my company as a model partner, the applause was thunderous. Marcus clapped too, but his hands moved slower. Because he understood something now. The woman he called a curse was being celebrated in rooms he couldn't enter without a +1. And for the first time, he wasn't beside me. He was beneath the balcony, watching. The truth about Cassandra. After the gala, Cassandra asked me to walk with her outside. Houston's skyline shimmered. You should know something, she said calmly. Marcus pursued me, not the other way around. I didn't react. He told me you held him back, that you were small-minded. There it was. The knife finally turned correctly. He positioned himself as a man ready for elevation. I inhaled slowly. And? I asked. She looked toward the skyline. I invest in men the way I invest in properties. If the foundation cracks, I exit.
Cold. Precise.
He's unstable without a structure built by someone stronger, she added. That used to be you. Not an insult. A fact. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled faintly. You're the better architect, Victoria. That night, I realized something powerful. Marcus didn't leave because I was bad luck. He left because he mistook stability for limitation. He didn't want a partner. He wanted a ladder. And when he climbed the wrong one, he fell alone. The public apology. 2 months later, Marcus posted something shocking. A public apology. On LinkedIn. I mishandled personal and professional relationships in my past. I take full accountability. Full accountability. The internet buzzed quietly in our shared industry circles. People connected the dots. Some praised his vulnerability. I saw it for what it was. Reputation recovery. Then he called. I meant it, he said. I was insecure. You were always stronger than me. That word again. Stronger. He used to resent it. Now he admired it. I don't want your money, he said. I want us. But here's what people don't understand about betrayal. It doesn't just break your heart. It rearranges your nervous system. I no longer flinched when he spoke. I evaluated. And I realized something critical. He didn't love me when I was powerless. He loved me when I was valuable. That's not love. That's opportunism with nostalgia. And I was done being someone's foundation. The expansion. Silas Healthcare Advocates expanded into Los Angeles, then Boston, then Seattle. We crossed 8 figures in annual revenue. But my greatest pride wasn't the money. It was the scholarship fund I quietly launched for single mothers in nursing programs, named after my late mother. Not myself. Marcus sent flowers when the press release dropped. White roses. My favorite. I'm proud of you, the note said. I stared at it for a long time. Years ago, when we lost everything, I begged him to sit with me in uncertainty. He chose luxury instead. Now he was asking to sit at a table I built. The irony was cinematic. But here's the twist he didn't see coming. I wasn't expanding alone. A venture capital group from San Francisco had offered strategic partnership talks. Major equity, major growth. And they wanted a CEO with vision and emotional discipline. They didn't want drama. They didn't want unstable attachments. They wanted legacy, leadership. And I had to decide something. Was Marcus part of my future? Or a lesson from my past? The real test. I agreed to meet him one final time. Chicago. Neutral ground. Snow fell softly outside the restaurant window. He looked thinner, less polished, more human. I've changed, he said quietly. Change isn't words, I replied. It's patterns. He nodded. I left because I was ashamed. I couldn't handle failing in front of you. You stayed steady. I panicked. That was the most honest thing he'd ever said. But honesty doesn't erase abandonment. I called you bad luck, he continued. That was projection.
Yes, it was.
He reached across the table. I want to build with you, not because you're wealthy, because I see who you are now. I looked at him carefully, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt distance. I'll consider it, I said calmly. His eyes filled with relief. But what he didn't know. The venture capital board had asked me one question during due diligence. Is there anyone in your life who could compromise your judgment? I hadn't answered yet, but I was about to.
Due diligence.
The venture capital meeting in San Francisco felt less like a pitch and more like an audit of my life. Glass walls. Quiet confidence. Me at the head of the table. Silas Healthcare Advocates is scalable, one partner said. But leadership stability is everything. Then came the question again. Is there anyone in your life who could compromise your judgment? Marcus' face flashed in my mind. The foreclosure notice. Bad luck. Miami champagne. Public apology. I answered carefully. There was someone who once underestimated me. A pause. He no longer has access to my decision-making. That was the moment I chose myself. Not revenge. Not reconciliation.
Clarity.
When I walked out into the cool Bay Area air, my phone buzzed. Marcus. I've been thinking about Chicago, he said. About us. I looked at the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance. I've been thinking too, I replied. But My thinking wasn't romantic. It was final. The offer he didn't expect. I invited Marcus to Dallas, the same city where he called me a curse. We met in a renovated downtown office space. But this time, I wasn't the woman holding hope. I was the CEO holding contracts. I have an offer, I said. His eyes lit up.
I'm listening.
I'm launching a nonprofit division. Financial advocacy for struggling families. It needs a regional coordinator. His expression shifted slightly. It's meaningful work, I continued. Mid-level salary. Performance-based growth. Mid-level. Not executive. Not partner. Not co-founder. Coordinator. You'd report to my operations director. Silence. I watched pride and desperation wrestle across his face. You don't trust me at leadership level? He asked quietly. I trust patterns, I replied. This wasn't humiliation. It was exposure. If he truly wanted to rebuild from humility, here was the chance.
No luxury. No levity.
Just service. He swallowed. I thought we were talking about us. We are, I said calmly. This is what us looks like now. And that's when I saw it.
He didn't want partnership.
He wanted position. The real collapse. 2 weeks later, financial news broke. Whitmore Holdings was selling multiple underperforming assets. Cassandra had pivoted aggressively. Marcus was officially out. No board seat. No consulting role. Nothing. He called me late one night from a smaller apartment in Fort Lauderdale. I said yes, he said quietly. Yes to what? The coordinator role. If it's still available. I paused. Why? Long silence. Because I need to learn how to build without shortcuts. For the first time, there was no ego in his voice. Just exhaustion. But here's the twist. The venture capital deal closed that same week. Silas Healthcare Advocates secured 8-figure backing. My net worth tripled overnight. And suddenly, the power dynamic was irreversible. He had once left me for wealth. Now wealth stood behind me like armor. And I didn't need him. That's what made the choice real. Working under me. Marcus started in Atlanta. No special treatment.
No announcements.
Just onboarding paperwork and community meetings. He struggled. Not with intelligence. With ego. Taking direction from women he once would have overlooked. Reporting metrics weekly. No corner office. No assistant. But something shifted. He stayed late. He listened more. He stopped name-dropping Miami. One afternoon, I observed a community workshop quietly from the back. He was speaking to a group of families facing eviction due to medical debt. And he said something that made me still. I once blamed someone else for my failures. I learned that accountability rebuilds what pride destroys. He didn't look at me. He didn't know I was there. That was the first time his growth felt unscripted. But growth doesn't erase history. And love doesn't resurrect itself on command. I had one final decision to make. The line between love and lesson. I invited him to Seattle. No business agenda. Just a walk by the water. I've watched you, I said. You're different. He nodded. I had to lose everything to understand what I had. I believed him. That was the dangerous part. Because forgiveness is easier than trust. Do you still love me? He asked. The old Victoria would have answered immediately. The new one breathed first. I love who I became after you left, I said softly. And I won't risk her. His jaw tightened. So, this is punishment?
No, irrepliajanly.
This is protection. He looked out over the gray ocean. I thought success would make you come back to me. I know, I said. That was the truth. He mistook access for entitlement. And I had to decide. Was he my future? Or my transformation story? I already knew. But he didn't. The woman I became. After Seattle, I stopped answering Marcus' late-night calls. Not out of anger. Out of evolution. Silas Healthcare Advocates expanded into 12 states. We secured hospital partnerships in New York and Minneapolis. Our nonprofit division erased millions in medical debt for struggling families. And something inside me settled. I wasn't building to prove him wrong anymore. I was building because this was who I was. One evening in Boston, after speaking at a healthcare leadership summit, a young nurse approached me. "How did you survive being underestimated?" she asked. I smiled gently. I stopped trying to survive it. I used it. That night, I looked at myself in the hotel mirror and realized something undeniable. Marcus didn't create my success. His departure revealed my capacity. He was the storm, but I was always the foundation. And foundations don't chase the wind. The resignation. Marcus requested a meeting. Atlanta. His voice sounded steady. When I walked into the nonprofit office, he stood respectfully.
"I'm resigning," he said.
That surprised me.
"Why?"
I asked calmly. "Because I finally understand something," he continued. "I don't want to rebuild under you hoping it earns me back into your life. That was new. I need to build something on my own, without attaching myself to someone stronger." For the first time, I saw dignity, not pride, in his posture. He handed me a folder. A proposal for a small community financial literacy initiative he wanted to start independently. No investors.
No Cassandra. No Victoria.
Just him. "I don't want your money," he said. "I want my integrity." And that was growth. But growth doesn't rewrite history. It simply closes chapters cleanly. Cassandra's final call. Unexpectedly, Cassandra called me from Manhattan. "I heard Marcus resigned," she said smoothly. "Yes." A pause. "You were never the bad luck," she added. "You were the anchor." I didn't respond immediately. "You should know something," she continued. "When he pursued me, I thought he was ambitious. I later realized he was running from inadequacy." "And now?" I asked. "Now he seems quieter." "That's good." There was no rivalry in her voice, only observation. Before hanging up, she said something that lingered. "You built power without cruelty. That's rare." That mattered more than she knew, because revenge without integrity destroys the victor too. And I had promised myself something the night he left me in Dallas. If I ever rose, I would rise clean.
The choice.
Months passed. Marcus Initiative launched quietly in Tampa. No press coverage. No flash events. Just workshops in community centers. I watched from a distance.
No interference. No rescue.
One afternoon he emailed me. Not about love. Not about us. Just an update. "We helped 43 families this quarter. Thank you for showing me accountability."
No manipulation. No nostalgia.
Just gratitude. I closed my laptop and walked through my Houston headquarters. Glass walls. Focus teams.
Stability.
I realized something peaceful. I no longer needed him to regret losing me. He already understood. And I no longer needed him to return, because I had already returned to myself. That was the real victory. The final payoff. 2 years later, I stood on a stage in Washington, D.C. Silas Healthcare Advocates was being recognized for national impact reform. The same industry that once overlooked me now studied my strategy. As applause filled the room, I thought about that night in Dallas. Your bad luck. If he hadn't said it, would I have discovered this fire? After the ceremony, I stepped outside into the cool D.C. air. My phone buzzed. A simple message from Marcus. "I'm proud of the woman you've always been."
No begging. No asking.
Just respect. I smiled. Because the greatest revenge was never making him crawl. It was making him witness. Witness the empire. Witness the discipline. Witness the woman he couldn't recognize when she stood beside him. He left me for wealth. I became wealth. He left me for elevation. I became the standard. And I didn't take him back. Not because I hated him, but because I had finally learned something powerful. The right partner doesn't leave when the lights go out. They help you build a power plant. And I built mine alone. Thank you for listening to my story. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos. Thank you.